What's up, everybody? The Arid Lord is here. Welcome back to another Walking Dead vlog. This is a review. Holy crap, review vlogs on the channel. I can't believe it. That is an accomplishment. We're back. I did promise that I would cover The Walking Dead, Dead City. And here we are. It is finally here. We've been waiting for any type of Walking Dead content since the main show ended back in November. And now here we are with essentially one of three sequels. One of those sequels is this show. The other is the Daryl show, which just actually got a preview. I don't know if any of you saw the the video of Norman Reedus on a capsized boat in the middle of the freaking ocean. I saw the comments like, how the hell did Norman Reedus get there? Like, I don't know. I mean, I could make another video about that, but I saw it come up in my Instagram feed, and I was like, all right, The Walking Dead marketing is getting busy because they have this show running, and pretty soon we'll be getting some news on the Rick Grimes show. Considering I'm pretty sure they've wrapped up filming. I don't know. I mean, I don't see as many cast photos as I used to, so. But anyway, this is episode 1. This is the premiere of this show. And the episode name is Old Acquaintances, which, of course, references our two lead characters, which is Negan and Maggie. And so it's funny because I had some theories going into this one about the villain and about the plot and the direction of all that. So I was right, actually, because I predicted or was hoping that the plot for this was that this Croat, who is the villain, he's like the old guy with the white beard. I mean, not too old. He's probably around Negan's age. And we do find out that this guy used to be part of the Saviors, and he is running, I guess, his old, holy shit, I can't talk, his old crew, in Manhattan, and he has captured Herschel, Maggie's son, and Maggie is trying to get him back. And because Negan used to be in charge of this guy as the leader of the Saviors, she is enlisting his help and bringing him to Manhattan. Hence the little title card here that says, "Keep your enemies close." So this is definitely an exciting kind of development, because I had thought that the Saviors were going to be, there was going to be some reference to that. And it's cool that they actually made the Croat like an ex-Savior. Now, my question is, did we ever see him in any of the old Walking Dead episodes? And I'm going to say no, but then my question becomes why? Because the war, I mean, even though there were a lot of Saviors, I mean, I've brought this up in past videos where we think about the size of the Saviors. It was far bigger than the comics. And the Saviors were the longest running group of any group in the entire show. I mean, they were literally introduced indirectly in Season 6, Episode 6, when Daryl finds Dwight and Sherry. And they went as the villains all the way to the Season 8 finale, when Negan is finally defeated. So And we saw so many different, even Saviors that didn't get like brought up again, like Wade, just a random. I don't know if you guys remember freaking Wade. It was that first episode where Daryl meets Dwight, and Negan sent out. We find out later that Negan sent out those Saviors to go capture Dwight and Sherry, and Wade was probably just a leader of some outpost or some group at the time, but we never saw him again. I actually did ask the actor on Twitter a few years ago what the hell the deal with that was, and he said that he signed a non-disclosure agreement and that he couldn't say anything, but he was hoping that his character got reintroduced. That never freaking happened, especially now that the main show is over. So unless he has joined the Croat, which is entirely possible, that would be pretty wild if they, like, can you imagine? Because, like, it was like 2015. We're talking almost 10 years. It was 2015 when that episode came out. And if they brought back freaking Wade and he's working for the Croat in Manhattan, like, I mean, that's totally possible. To think of some of the Saviors that did not, and then the guy that lost his arm. when Daryl does the trick with the leaves and then the guy gets bit. You know, so there's two like saviors that like really never got brought back up again, mainly because you know like that episode was so separate from the rest of the savior stuff that they were doing. So my prediction is that like they weren't going to, you know, like continue any of those other like saviors like from you know prior. So so you've got that angle. You've got the savior angle, which is pretty cool. So it starts out now. I'm trying to understand the economy of this episode because it's very confusing because you have like this new colony federation type of martial law, like not martial law, but there's apparently wherever they are in New York, there is this like group of like cowboy rangers or something who control jurisdiction over this small region. We don't really know how big it is, but like there is some sort of law and order because there's a wanted poster. One of the plot points is that there's a wanted poster of Negan, and the main sheriff, I forget his name, but he references like he knows Negan's history. Like he talks about Negan, you know, smashing Glenn's head in with a baseball bat. There are many references made to that in this episode, by the way. I just want to reference that. But yeah, this guy seems to know Negan's entire history, and he's after him and has a bounty on him, and he wants to like slowly torture him and then publicly execute him. So this guy is out for blood, and it's just like I don't understand. Like they seem to just like be fine with it. It's like okay, like Maggie's just like yeah, this is just like an established order, not one that was ever referenced in the Walking Dead show. And like again, we think about where the main Walking Dead show ended, where Ezekiel and Mercer are in charge of the freaking Commonwealth, which is, you know, an immensely large society. And then you also have the CRM traipsing around. So again, like they've done this before, The Walking Dead, where they try to have these storylines that are contained in these little like spheres, like in Fear the Walking Dead, when they had all the nuclear shit going on, when the nuke went off, and it's like okay, like that was down in Texas, and they're trying to, you know, and the CRM was involved with that, but like, you know, they have this greater Walking Dead universe, and I just feel like a lot of these contained stories don't take advantage of the fact that we have other stories that have happened, hence the CRM, hence the Commonwealth, two super societies that, you know, their impact should be felt. I mean, the Commonwealth had a train network. It was all, I mean, I brought this point up a zillion times. It's so frustrating that the CRM and the Commonwealth never had some type of interaction crossover. There were some hints, references, Designation 2. The show freaking ended. We never found out. Maybe in the Rick show, which we know will deal with the Civic Republic, maybe that'll answer something. But it seems like at least for Dead City, there's no CRM stuff. It's just going to be focused on, it seems like, at least, the Croat and whoever is loyal to him in Manhattan. So, the other strange thing about this episode, and just I guess the direction thus far, is one of the things I was a big fan of in the Walking Dead finale, the final episode of the main Walking Dead, was the conversation that Negan and Maggie have. Like it really resolved and brought full circle their conflict about what he did and the revenge and hatred that she holds in her heart for him, but they're coexisting, and they finally have a sit down and kind of just like let it out. Now Negan doesn't say anything, he expresses it all with his face. It's great acting. Lauren Cohan just kind of gives this big speech, this big monologue, but you would never know that happened. From this first episode there's still tension. Like, you know, they're on the boat with the captured Marshall guy, and Negan's like, you know, you still think I'm the bad guy. And like Maggie, you know, they fall asleep in the truck, and Maggie has a dream. It was very jarring because she has a dream of the moment that Glenn got his head smashed in, and like they're showing a bunch of scenes when he did it, when he was mocking him. Like I'm like, wow, like okay, like they are really directly tunneling into this. Maybe it's because they don't know, like I'm sure there's a possibility that some people didn't watch the main Walking Dead show, and it's like, okay, here's the context of as to why Maggie hates Negan, and they're going to show you visually why? So, okay, like I understand that from a storytelling perspective. Maybe like that's necessary to do. But it's just weird that they had this wrap up conversation in the season 11 finale, and it feels like that conversation was very much forgotten in many ways, and it's just it's just kind of confusing to me. I was like, well, like didn't they do that, to bring context? Like it was just confusing. So I mean, I guess you have to have conflict between them so that the show can like progress. So like, you know, their character development together has some type of progression. So, you know, if it's everything's resolved and they're just going on an adventure story, like I guess there's no reason to watch. That being said, um, you know, I guess what I do like about the episode is that they don't pussyfoot around. Like, there's no like I'm glad the episode didn't end with them entering Manhattan. There's that really cool scene where they're on the boat and the clouds part and you see like how destroyed and decrepit the city is. It gave me, if you guys have seen I Am Legend with Will Smith, it gave me those vibes because like just like I Am Legend, all of the freaking bridges are just destroyed, blown out. And like that makes sense. In both films, like, you know, zombies completely consume Manhattan, and cutting off the bridges is one way that they're trying to stop the infection. So, but even with all the years that have passed, I mean, there are a lot of walkers. Like the opening scene when Maggie has her binoculars and she's looking at the coastline, like there's there's like a boardwalk and there's just like a stream of them. When they get into the city itself at night, like they're walking by. A really cool scene was freaking the walkers falling off the building. Like Negan, like they get against they're up against a structure, and Negan looks up and is like, "Great, like walkers falling out of the freaking sky," and like you could tell it was kind of foreshadowed because you saw some of the cars that were like you know, warped and depressed. And it's like, oh, and then you see the blood guts, and you're like, oh yeah, it's walkers. You know, they're up high, stranded, and they're walking off and smashing down. But my thing with that is like it's been so many years into the apocalypse, though. Like, wouldn't a lot of these walkers have died out, like either from being killed off by people in the city, or just the years go on and they just like aren't functional again? Like the show just assumes that like, all right, the walkers just have this, like they're just invincible. It doesn't matter, you know, weather conditions. It doesn't matter, like, you know, even though it's like 6-ish whatever the freak many years, because like you have to consider they're all the years since the beginning of the outbreak, plus the extra years that we time jump because Rick, you know, like remember when Rick leaves in the helicopter, we time jump from there. So it's like, oh, and you know that leads us into the Whisper arc, but like all that time still happened. And it's like, did the walkers like we do see the snow episode, the one episode where we have snow, the season 10 finale, like we see the walkers kind of like freezing and stuff, and it's like, well, even if they thaw out, like are they still functional? Like how, like I don't know. Like they've gone back and forth on this, obviously, with like how invincible are the walkers. Obviously, the smart walkers got randomly reintroduced with the waning episodes of the show, and I'm sure like we didn't see any in this episode, but they're probably going to be in here because again, like that for me, like now I see like they wanted that in their toolbox. So now the Daryl, Negan, Maggie, and the Rick shows, they can all use the smart walkers. It's like, okay, we introduced that in the finale. Now all of our shows going forward, it's like, now we can use this. It's canon. So, you know, even though it was randomly introduced at the end of the Commonwealth plot, like it's like whatever. So, I guess so. We don't see much of the Croat. There's one ending scene where he's trying to intimidate Herschel, and like it's an older Herschel also, like middle schooler Herschel looks like. We're not really sure how he captured him. He seems to know like he seems to know stuff about Maggie. Like I think he understands the concept of like he would have known Maggie when Negan first met Rick's group. That scene where the lineup and the head bashing, like, but see, that's the thing, because like, did he run away? Like, I hope they explain where the hell he was during the Savior War, because like Rick's group went to the outpost. Like, a lot of Saviors died, like in seasons like 8 especially, when Rick and the, like, whenever they were taking out the Saviors, a whole bunch of them died. Like some of them then got assimilated into Alexandria, Hilltop, and Kingdom, but I guess they're just gonna, like, some Saviors just ran away. We did see Regina, like, in a few. Remember, they were just like marauders until Carol killed them. But like, I don't know. Like, I hope they explain that, because in my mind, the Saviors either died in the war or were assimilated into the communities, and then they were just part of the Alexandria Hilltop kind of group of survivors, because the sanctuary was defunct. Like, they tried to continue it for a bit, but then it just didn't work. And that was mainly, I think it was until she died, a Rot was the main one who was trying to lead that. So I don't know. Like, I hope some of the Savior lore gets brought back up. There are so many Saviors, so many, and Negan refers to the Croat as like one of the worst. I'm like, really? Like, he was worse than Simon? like we know what Simon did, taking out Oceanside, and it's like, you're telling me the Croat was worse than that, and we never saw him? Like, I don't know. Like, again, like, it just, for me, it's like they needed some catalyst, so they're like, oh, like, he was a Savior, but we're gonna throw him in there. So, but it's like, I don't know, like, just connecting the dots of everything in the past, it just kind of feels a little messy. So, and then they get to, there's a fight scene in this like dry cleaner, and the Marshals guys are just so stupid. Like, there's one guy, he's like, oh, like, cover the door. Like, all these walkers, like, press against the glass, and they're like, he's just standing there. Like, what is he doing? Because then the walkers break through the glass, and they just devour the dude. Like, he didn't even fight. It's like, oh, no. Like, he doesn't try to run, doesn't try to shoot. He just gets devoured. And then the prisoner that they captured is just shot as collateral. And then Maggie even out-duels the main sheriff guy, knocks him out. Obviously they weren't going to freaking, there was nothing stopping her from killing him, because like, he's constantly after them. So like, why let him live? And it's kind of for plot reasons, really. It's like, oh, he'll come back. He will in another episode. And then, like, the walkers get in, but I'm like, I'm assuming he got away, and then he's going to be involved in whatever the plot is for the rest of the season. So, it was a good start. There is one more character, which is this little girl that Negan rescued. The story is that her dad was taking care of her for a long time, and then the dad turned into a walker, and it traumatized her, and now she doesn't talk. Really unclear where the hell this girl came from. And what's also really unclear is whatever happened to Annie and Negan's kid. Because Maggie asks this question directly in the beginning of the episode, and Negan doesn't answer. He just sidesteps the question and is like, oh, have you met this girl that I've been carrying around? And I don't even think she goes on the journey. I don't know where she is, because I don't think she entered Manhattan, but she's clearly a new character for the show, so I'm surprised that she didn't. So it's a little bizarre. Like, I don't know what the introduction of this character is, and I don't know. But they've got some pieces here, and like, they've got a few pieces. The Croat being an ex-savior. You've got this girl, mysteriously loses her dad. Is that related to something with the Saviors? Maybe it's someone that like Negan knew, and now he feels bad about it. Maybe that girl's related to the Croat, and maybe that's her dad, and maybe the other guy wasn't. That would be a pretty cool plot twist. What's the relation with this Marshal? Why does he know Negan's whole history? Is he an ex-savior himself, and now he wants revenge because he doesn't like that lifestyle anymore? There's a lot of different plot directions this could go. All right. Also, why the hell did the Croats steal Herschel? Like, yeah, he knew Maggie from the Savior arc, but like, what's his beef with her now? Like, why come out of Manhattan and do, like, why do this? So we have some unanswered questions. It's not even really clear, like, kind of like where. Oh, I know how the episode ends. There's that like random guy with the white hair. Like they light the match. It was a kind of a cool cinematography trick. Like they light the match, Negan and Maggie, and then this guy, like we see him earlier on the roof. Maybe he was the one pushing the walkers, and then he blows out the like it swerves and he blows it out, and then it cuts to the final scene, which is us meeting the Croat. So I don't know who the prick this person is. I don't know. I mean, it's again like because it's a new, you know, isolated, you know, Manhattan. They're going to say it's like an isolated space. Now we can get introduced to all sorts of new characters, and this is going to go off in its own direction. In some ways, it's kind of funny because in some ways, it really did feel like I was watching another episode of The Walking Dead. Like if this was like a bottle episode, you know how they used to do the bottle episodes all the time? Like there was an episode where it was just freaking Tara in Oceanside in the middle of the Savior stuff. This would be like that. Like it's just Negan and Maggie. Like it's almost like what happens after the Commonwealth. Like, oh, like an ex-Savior comes out of the woodworks and steals Herschel. So it almost feels like this bottle episode, but it's going to be the whole thing. So, yeah. You know what would be cool? Actually, I'm thinking this to myself. If you had like a DVD box set or a Blu-ray, I don't know, no one does fucking DVDs anymore, but you have like a Blu-ray thing, right? And you jump from episode to episode, right? Like maybe you do like the first episode of this show, then you do the first episode of the Daryl show, and then you do the first episode of the Rick show. Like what if you had them like all like that way they'd feel like little bottle episodes. You almost make like a new Walking Dead show by like going in some chronological order. And then that's the thing, like when all those shows end, like is there something else? Are they gonna relate to each other? So like however that happens, then maybe they can all kind of mishmash. But I don't know. It's a kind of a fun idea. I mean, these shows are not coming out at the same time. Daryl shows this fall. This show is already started, and I think they confirmed this show for a season 2. So we're gonna get a lot of content here. So, anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for watching. If I had to rate the episode, I'd probably give it like an 8. Like it was okay, like an 8 out of 10. There was some cool cinematography, like the wick going out, the clouds parting into Manhattan was a really cool, ominous way of introducing the city. The opening title card is really cool and really creepy. But there are some plot things that are having me scratch my head, like just in terms of continuity and also universe rules. Again, like Gimple says, it's like the interconnected universe. But so many things happen in isolation. It's like, isn't the CRM supposed to be like the freaking empire of the country? Like they had territory, like from World Beyond, we know how many territories they have, and it's just like, oh well, you know, they're not involved in the Commonwealth stuff. Nope, they went on vacation the whole week. They went on vacation when all that was happening. It's like because you do see some moments of things crossing over, and it's like, oh okay, that makes sense. But then other times it's like, nope. This just happens here, and this just happens here. So, I don't know. It's hit or miss. But anyway. Thank you guys for watching. I will be doing these each week as the episodes come out. I know this technically came out last week. I mean, I saw it on AMC Plus, but I was like, oh, this is actually the legit date it comes out for people watching it. So, I don't know if anyone even freaking has cable anymore, but not me. I mean, that's just like ancient shit now. Now you've got all these streaming services upping prices, changing names, blah, blah, blah. So, all right. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll be doing one of these again next week. So tune in for episode 2, but this is episode 1, and let me know what you thought of The Walking Dead, Dead City, episode 1. All right. Thank you guys. Peace out.